Welcome to the BigBusinessZoo.com speaker series on how to increase your sales, network, and site rank. This series features video segments that highlight powerful ways to leverage digital assets such as video, podcasts, blogging, mobile apps, and other digital tools. Today we welcome Karl, and today she will be discussing ways to increase your social media networking and professional image. Rachel is a social media architect and has empowered entrepreneurs all over the world through social media and online marketing methods. She has been branded as the social media mentor for small businesses, startups, and solo entrepreneurs. In this interview, she offers some astute insights on how to build relationships and profits in using, developing, and maintaining your social media assets so you can increase your sales, your network, and your site rank. And now, here is your host, a profitability strategist, marketing maven, as well as our beloved zookeeper, Catherine B. Trainer.
Well, we're here with Karl, and you can find Rachel at Rachel Karl online. And Rachel, we're getting right into it because we've got your bio and your links and everything covered. We want to get right to the heart of this. What excites you the most about social media and digital tools, and what do you see happening in the marketplace right now?
Well, yes, that's a great question. And just first of all, I want to thank you for having me. And I just want to say, at my office here today, I have a lot of people here, so there might be a little background noise with just there's a lot going on. So I just want to, apologize if we've got any extra noise happening. What excites me the most about social media is there's two things, actually. One is how fast it's changing, and I think that the fact that that excites me says that I'm in the right industry because it scares a lot of people with how fast everything's changing. And I love it because it really keeps me on my toes and it makes me run to keep up every day so that I can be on the cutting edge and know what's happening and be able to help the small business owners that I'm working with. Mm-hmm. I love how fast it changes. There's so many exciting things and technology is changing, and I mean even the Google Hangouts, in the last week have completely changed. And the second thing that I love about social media is that never before in history have we had access to or been able to communicate at the speed at which we're able to communicate today. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're able to find out about things that are happening all over the world, within a nanosecond. An earthquake happens, and we sometimes find out before, the government of that country finds out about it because of Twitter. Or, a baby is born, and, it's all happening in real time. And I just think, you have access to just about everyone, everywhere, within just a virtual second. So those are the two things that I just think are so exciting about this industry.
And that's really interesting that you talk about how frightened people are. And because it's moving so fast, if you hesitate too long, it's hard to get your brand name. It's hard to get your name. It's hard to get established with the momentum that you need to be a thought leader on a social media platform. So really, you can't be hesitant. And this is where I feel like, having knowledge and working with someone that's an expert and keeping up on it not only helps you strategize which ones to get involved with, but at what level and how fast you need to move.
Yeah, exactly, and that's so true. With there's, it's interesting just being in this industry and having businesses come to me because everybody now realizes that they need to be on social media. They need to be doing something about it because it's happening without them, and they want to get involved. So a lot of people, it's hard because it's like, well, then there's the ramp up time, and then building your audience and building that trust with them. And in an instant gratification world, it's really hard for business owners to understand that it's not going to happen overnight, especially if they're just now getting into it. So, I couldn't stress enough to any business owner out there that's thinking about, marketing their business. they absolutely have to be using social media as part of their overall marketing plan.
Yeah, and it's because not only is it immediate, but it's what customers expect. They expect at some level to be able to communicate. If you have a larger company, they expect you to respond on Twitter. You know, there are surveys that say that if you have a company and you're active on Twitter, people are expecting a response within an hour, or they'll just go on a flame war.
Yeah, exactly.
Cares. And if you're doing this all on your own and you don't have tools for monitoring and things like that, you know, that expectation is really out of proportion with what most small businesses can deliver.
Yes, it's so true. In fact, I'm working with a client right now, and they've got they're in a sports industry, and they've got, you know, over 100,000 fans on their Facebook page. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they wanted to put a contest up, and you know, the everything's happening so fast, I can barely keep up. I'm getting stuff to my team to get things created, and we're trying to get everything going, and the business owner's emailing saying, you know, why don't we have it yet, and, you know, that sort of thing, and everything's like, come on, let's go right now. But then you post the contest and you see just you know, it's exactly what people want. I mean, they're right there, they're ready for it. So it helps them to give their audience what they want and build that, just that expectation of, you know, where people are at today. Mm-hmm. I use Twitter all the time as a customer service. You know, when I'm having a problem or I have a question for a company, I turn to Twitter all the time, and I'm so thrilled when companies actually reply back right away. So I love it as a tool for that.
And there's scalability, and then managing expectations, and I think that's one of the most difficult things that in your profession and expertise, you know, because you see people, they have 100,000 Facebook followers. That's an active community. Well, theoretically, you have the potential for activity, definitely. We could say that.
Yeah.
But there, people benchmark. Like I'm in a forum with other people that are doing internet marketing, and they were saying they're having trouble with a client who has just a couple $100 a month social media budget, mm-hmm. and they see some celebrity getting 600 Twitter followers a day, mm-hmm. and they're like, well, I want you to get me 600 Twitter followers a day. Yeah. And the response is, well, one, you're not famous. Yeah. Two, you aren't equipped to deal with the actual engagement with those if you get that volume. And three, that's not the budget.
Yeah, that's so true. You have to have realistic expectations, because it's very true. Like anyone in a celebrity or you know, like these people that are in the sports industry, and those fans are rabid and they're very active, and there's, you know, millions of them out there. So they're lucky that they're in that industry and they're able to just get all of these fans without really spending a lot of money to, mm-hmm. you know, for Facebook ads. Right. And their fans are very active, but they were telling me, you know, the problem that they have is they'll come in on a Monday and they'll have 600 comments that they have to deal with on their Facebook page. So, you know, that's the magnitude, like you're talking about scalability and being able to manage that many fans. If you have an active, you know, field where people are going to be on your Facebook page often, you're going to need to have a plan to deal with that many active fans. So, you know, it's great to want that many fans, but at the same time, if you're a local business owner or you have your own specific niche and it doesn't involve celebrities or sports, then you can be very happy and satisfied and have a really successful social media presence with just a few hundred active fans, yes. if they're the right people and, you know, they're really engaged with you. So it's definitely, you have to kind of keep things in perspective and set realistic expectations for sure.
Mm-hmm. And I think that communicating with the tone of your content and the tone of your marketing, that people understand that you're there, and I see it for most small businesses not as this great big marketing answer, but as a very, very important, powerful customer service avenue, because that's where people, they send messages, they post comments, they use that to introduce you as a referral to their friends. And so having, the right level of quality content that's out there consistently and not just dumped on a schedule where you don't pay any attention to it. There's somebody that I follow. This cracks me up every Monday. She's an etiquette expert. So she teaches people, this is the shrimp fork and this is the dessert spoon, and does like corporate etiquette training. And she's got a Facebook page, and I think she's in her 60s. Nice lady. Of course, a very polite lady, but she is the rudest on social media because she goes on Monday and posts something, and people post things back, and she never responds.
Oh, yeah.
And why?
Right. Yeah. Why do it if you're not going to actually?
And people I won't say who posted this. It might have been me. So I do things sometimes that are a little on the mischief side, but she posted this thing about that if you finish your dinner, you shouldn't put your napkin on your plate.
Mm-hmm.
You should put it next to the plate. And so I posted, because I have 6 kids and 5 sons, and we have some manners issues. I said, well, what if you've licked the plate first? Is it okay then? Which I thought was hysterical.
Yeah.
And several other people thought was really funny, and she never, ever said anything. There's this whole comment stream on it, a perfect opportunity for her to show some personality and engagement.
Uh-huh.
And yet it's just gone. So
that's too bad.
The takeaway here is it's extremely powerful. It's accessible for any level of business, but choosing your platforms and then having a strategy and having the staff and the resources in place to handle it. And I think you'd be better off not to just jump on every new thing.
Right.
And really stick with where your target market is.
Mm-hmm.
And how they're communicating, and really do a good job with that than to try to adopt everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
And working with entrepreneurs, we want the latest, fastest phone, the fastest computer, the newest. Let's do this, let's do that. And you don't want to be, slow. Like if you're gonna go get on Friendster now, don't.
Just don't.
Even Twitter, you better know how to use it. You better get going. If you haven't got a Twitter account, getting going now and understanding how to use it is a push.
Mm-hmm.
But I've got people there asking me about Vine, and should I be on Vine? Well, probably for most of the people that I work with, probably no.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's immediate, but can you condense? It's very difficult to condense anything meaningful in 6 seconds.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
So let's move into that as the top tool, strategy, or tactic you'd recommend to accelerate results and increase profits. If you were going to choose, let's say you were going to choose 3, just for the average, medium-sized to small business, 3 platforms that they should do and do well.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say?
Well, it's kind of, I guess, in a way, it's sort of a loaded question for social media, because it goes back to what we were talking about with knowing your audience and knowing what your strategy and your goals are. Your strategy is and what your goals are. So what I was kind of digging up some stuff that I came across, before we were going to get on, and I was thinking about this, like what would I recommend as some of the top, the top tools that or strategy or tactic to really increase profits.
Okay.
And I think it really comes down to knowing your audience, because for instance, we have 3 kids. But our 12-year-old daughter, her social media platform of choice is Instagram. And she's on that at night before she goes to bed, flipping through Instagram photos and videos and cracking up over these really funny videos that people make and following people who inspire her. And in the morning, she jumps on it. She's like constantly flipping through Instagram. So if your target audience is, let's say 11 to maybe 21-year-old girls, then Instagram would be the place and the top tool that you would want to develop your audience.
Mm-hmm.
If your target audience is women, married women with children who have expendable income, then you'd want to target Pinterest,
Right.
because Pinterest is where they're looking for their ideas, and that's where you'd want to build your audience. I think Facebook is kind of a great sort of overall platform for, a pretty wide, broad spectrum of audiences. So definitely be on Facebook. But the best advice I ever heard on this particular subject comes from Guy Kawasaki, and he calls it the 5 Ps of social media. So I'll just quote what he says, because I really think it's really good advice. Facebook is for talking to your people you already know. Twitter is for perceptions, where you broadcast your ideas. Google Plus is for passions, where you can share your passions with people you don't know. Pinterest is for pinning, expressions, photos, ideas, etc. And LinkedIn is for pimping in the good sense of the word, so you're showing off your expertise. So I think that's great advice. And I also, just to add to like the LinkedIn thing, it's a great place for all professionals to have a really good presence. It drives a lot of traffic to your website, so it's a really good place also to showcase your expertise and drive traffic to your website, get involved in group discussions. And if your target audience is business to business, so if you're in the business to business sector, LinkedIn is definitely the place for you. Mm-hmm. So I think, I hope that kind of answers the question.
That's really good. And then as far as LinkedIn too, they've done some. You have the option to have a business page now.
Yes.
Which
yeah.
That's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then just recently, in the last month, they really shifted to emphasizing your personal brand.
Right.
And
that's true.
Are you familiar with Mitch Joel's Control-Alt-Delete book?
No, I don't think so.
It's about how most of us are going to have 7 completely different careers in our life.
Oh.
And also with businesses, your business, because it's a global marketplace and there's so much disruption, you may have to completely reinvent your business several times.
That's true.
And so his whole focus is you have to shift how you think about marketing, advertising, operations, financing, and then also he's got a very long section on showcasing your personal brand and your experience, because it's not where I've done this for 30 years anymore. He said the most valuable people are people that have done 4 or 5 things well, and because they've developed networks and connections, and this is how so the social media aspect of it comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Not only skills, but networks and connections. They're highly valuable, even though if you look at a resume or a LinkedIn profile like you used to look at it 5 years ago, where you want to see this linear progression up and up and up the same corporation, he said you have to showcase your ability to connect. And I think that's the power of social media.
Absolutely. In fact, it's interesting that you say that. Because I was just on a Google Hangout a few hours ago with some entrepreneurs, and one of the gals is also a Google Plus on-air producer, and her background is in the field of media and media relations, and she was a media buyer, so she used to spend a lot of money. She has a reputation for spending millions, hundreds of millions of dollars in media money. Mm-hmm. And so when she calls people up, they always answer her call because she's made a lot of money and spent a lot of money. And but now as a Google Plus on-air producer, she said the exact same thing that you just said. She said, what I've found to be the most interesting thing is it's not about my experience. It's not about exactly what I'm doing. It's about the relationships that I've created along the way. And I just think that is so true, because when you really boil down, everything, it all comes down to relationships, mm-hmm. social media included.
And this is where if you're going to choose which social media things to work with and what to do, focusing on that you're doing this to create a connection, not just to stick your stuff out there. It is not advertising. And having that advertising push mode doesn't work. You're feeding information, you're findable, and you're creating connections. And if you're doing that, you're going to be successful and happy with the results, I think.
I agree.
If not, then you're going to be frustrated because it's not this, you do this and this will happen.
Right.
Thing. There's so many side chains of who can find out about it. I mean, there's powerful things that can happen because somebody retweeted one of your posts and it got in the hands of it caught somebody's eye, and you end up with a book deal, or you end up with a big account, a corporate account. There's just there's so many possibilities, but it all boils down to the heart and the connections.
Absolutely.
And that's for businesses where they have integrity, dependability, transparency, and really caring about what they do and doing it with excellence. This is the ideal time. I feel like this is the most exciting time to be in business because everything's flattened out. You don't have to have this big, giant, huge budget to really get visibility and leverage what you're doing anymore.
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. Well, so Rachel, we're going to move into question 3, and then we're going to go towards the future after that. So I want to know, because we're talking about connection, where's your heart? What's your passion? What do you do to make the world a better place as an individual, or do you have groups that you support? This is your chance to showcase whatever you'd like.
Okay. Well, as an individual and groups that I support anything that has to do with education. So I'm really involved actively in several groups that are trying to educate people. One group that I'm involved in with quite a bit is the Youth for Human Rights organization, because they're educating people on an international basis on what our basic God-given human rights are. And and it helps stop human trafficking. It helps stop human rights violations around the world on a global scale. So that's something that's near and dear to my heart. And then just really anything that helps kind of boost our children, give them a better footing in the world. So I'm kind of actively involved in several different things, but Youth for Human Rights is definitely one of the top ones there.
Great, and we'll have a link to that.
Oh, awesome.
On the show page and podcast, and oh yeah.
Oh, that's so great. I'll have to tell them.
So, okay, well, let's move to question 4, because this is, you get to look into the future as a Swami expert, and you're probably the hardest one.
Yep.
To have this, because yours moves so fast.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the top trend, tool, or strategy to watch in the next year in social media?
Well, I've been seeing Google Hangouts as being one of the top tools to use. I think that it's growing at an exponential rate. I think that a lot of people a year ago were looking at Google Plus as sort of this dead zone, but it's exploding. It's really exploding. So I think every single business owner should be taking advantage of being on Google Plus, having a Google Plus page, making sure that you're keeping fresh content on there, and doing Google Hangouts as a way to showcase your expertise and get yourself in front of your target audience. So for me, like when I rub my crystal ball for social media, I see Google Hangouts as being the one that's in the next year for sure.
And definitely, I think that's a great call, because it's accessible to all ages. It's not just for millennials. It's not just for old people. It's something that's has got the flexibility and the creative aspects that you can have. You can have fun. It's also very mobile.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
on your iPad and your iPhone.
Exactly. Yeah, you can be on the run and have a business meeting, like before you board a plane just from your app on your phone or your iPad, even on a plane. I actually did a Google Hangout with my son and my husband when I was on a plane. Okay. It was not a great connection, but it was fun. It was they're a lot of fun.
Right, and especially since so many of us work with people that are spread out. it also gives you that YouTube video if you record it. And
Yeah.
that's great for documenting things. And then also, what I find exciting is when I talk to people in consultations or with in groups where we're working on something together, there's so many ideas that crop up that are just spur of the moment things, and then nobody has to feel this huge pressure to be the secretary and write everything down. And you can archive these great ideas, because when people get together and they connect, it's just amazing how things just spring up. And that's one of the things that I love with social media, is it's all the rabbit trails.
Mm-hmm.
This leads to this idea, this leads to this, and then or you find out about this great article, this great book, or you get to connect with this person that you never ever would have met in your whole life.
Right.
And they're just brilliant and fascinating. And then when people are having a problem, because you're a mom, I'm a mom, I can tell when I'm watching my Facebook stream. I know who's on, who's off, who's having a tough time. It changes. You might be putting it out there, la la la. There's you can see it if you know them. If and I value that. That's a connection.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah. So thank you, Rachel. We can connect you with you the best at Rachel Karl online.
Yes, that's right. RachelKarlOnline.com.
Great.
And
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Any other books?
Well, I have a swag bag. So, there's some free ebooks there, and there are going to be some podcasts coming out soon that I'm partnering with a web and graphic designer. We're going to start a social media podcast soon. So,
exciting.
Yeah. So anybody who gets the swag bag is going to, you'll get first notice of when the podcast is going to start.
Excellent. Well, thank you for being here. We're going to come back on audio only, which will be a full podcast on Shoot the Bull.
Awesome.
But Rachel, we're going to sign off right now, and then the Shoot the Bull is your chance to talk about holy cows and misconceptions and just rant a little bit if you want to on social media experts that have whatever. We'll let you go.
All right.
So everyone else, thank you, and we'll be back with Rachel Karl and Shoot the Bull. You won't want to miss that.
Thank you for visiting the Big Business Zoo and our speaker series, Increase Your Sales, Network, and Site Rank. And today's topic on increasing your social media networking and professional image with today's guest, Rachel Karl. If you enjoyed what we had to share today, check out the show notes on this page where we have links, references, and a free gift provided by our speaker. A transcript as well as a podcast version of today's episode are also available on the show notes page. Shoot the Bull podcast episodes, due to their candid nature, are available to subscribers only at bigbusinesszoo.com. Subscribing to the podcast, videos, and articles in this series is a service designed to benefit you in your business, your media efforts, and in designing a lifestyle of joy and excellence. You can also find more videos, articles, resources, and podcasts for this series on bigbusinesszoo.com, dnettv.com, Podcast Alley, and iTunes. You can connect with our beloved zookeeper, profitability strategist, and marketing maven, Catherine B. Trainer, on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and bigbusinesszoo.com. We make our videos and podcasts as shareable as possible, but please use digital rights respect for the content created here, or you could be banished from the zoo to the circus with the other clowns. This has been a production of Big Business Zoo Media, part of Big Business Zoo LLC, all rights reserved.